Hello. Welcome in, everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Welcome back. Welcome in to the stream today. We are going to be going to be looking at some of our study materials today back in Fluent Python, DSA Python, Leet code, and our projects. Gonna have a back to the grind. We got to get back to going here. Let's go ahead and start up the Twitch. All right, and we got the Twitch going live. Sweet. Hello, Mahan. Welcome back in. How's it going? Mahan, how's it going, dude? Welcome back in, dude. Wing Hong, hey, dude. How's it going, man? Let me get the chat loaded up here. Bro, no, what happened, Mahan? Scam 2K? What? Uh-oh. That can't be good. All right. So let's get things loaded up here. That cannot be good, Mon. Okay, let's get this loaded up. Okay. Where are we? Alternate. Here. All right, let's get jumping into the reading for today. I appreciate you guys for joining me again. We're back studying and doing our normal thing in Fluent Python here, reading along. I am also open to if you guys have any videos you guys want to like queue up or something for the start of the streams that we can warm up with and watch together or things like that. I think would be fun as well. So let me know on that front. But let's go ahead and get into this. So we're in chapter 2 here still. This the alternative patterns for lambda, right? So this is the syntax of lambda in Scheme, using the syntactic convention that the suffix ... means the element may appear 0 or more times. A simple pattern for the lambda case, quote, lambda would be case lambda parms, and then body of arguments, if body. However, that matches any values in the params position, including... Oh, so we read this part already. Okay, let's get into slicing here. So this is a big cool. A common feature of list, tuple, stir, and all sequence types in Python is the support of slicing operations, which are more powerful than most people realize. Someone from my school emailed for money because I'm an active student, gave bad check, and wanted me to spend because I'm ill. Oh shoot! And you did it? Oh no! Dang. That is rough. Sorry, dude. Okay, so we have slicing. A feature of list, tuple, and stir. And all sequence types. And sequence types support slicing operations. Okay. In this section, we describe the use of these advanced forms of slicing. Their implementation in a user-defined class will be covered in Chapter 12. In keeping with philosophy of covering ready-to-use classes in this part of the book and creating a new class in Part 3. Why slices and ranges exclude the last item. The Pythonic convention of excluding the last item in slices and ranges works well with zero-based indexes used in Python, C, and many other languages. Some convenient features of the convention are: it's easy to see the length of a slice or range when only the stop position is given. Range 3 and my list slice of up to 3 both produce 3 items. It's easy to compute the length of a 0, 1, and 2 indexes, or 0, 1, and 2 for a range object. It's easy to compute the length of a slice or range when start and stop are given. You just do stop minus start. It's easy to split a sequence in 2 parts at any index x without overlapping. Simply get my list slice up to x and my list x slice forward. For example, if you split the list, you can get onto 2 and then 2 forward and get the second index. So this will go up to 2 but not including 2. So 0 and 1, the 10 and 20, and then the 30 will be captured at 2 forward. All right. The best argument for this convention were written by the Dutch computer scientist Edgar W. I'm not even trying. Now let's take a close look at how Python interprets slice notation. Okay, so let's quickly make a note here saying slices and ranges exclude the last item. We already know that, but let's just throw it in there. Slice objects. There is no secret, right? Let's get the chat back going here. Slicing is pretty useful. Hey, Praddock! Slicing is pretty useful when traversing from reverse or trying to get a subset of strings too. Yeah. We saw that with that Leet code problem the other day. Hey, AJ Brady. Welcome back in, dude. Tim, welcome. We'll do some Leet code after the reading here. All right. Okay. Slice objects. There is no secret, but worth repeating. This is no secret, but worth repeating just in case. String A, B, C, right, can be used to specify a stride or step C, causing the resulting slice to skip items, right? So you can start, stop, and then a skip. Causing the resulting slice to skip items. The stride can also be negative, returning items in reverse. 3 examples make this clear. Where we slice blank blank 3, so this will, in bicycle, this will skip every 3 letters. So capture 1, 2, 3, capture 1, 2, 3, capture, and form by. If we reverse it, right, we take a slice of the list and reverse order. This will just reverse the bicycle. And then we can go backwards by a step of -2 to go backward, do in reverse every other item. So B, C, C, E, right? So we'll say right, we have string start, stop, skip. Can be used to specify a stride or step or step C, a stride. So then let's go ahead and go Shift Command 4, and we'll take this image, just really quickly like that. Copy image, put that right there. Another example was shown in chapter 1 when we used the deck 12, start at 12, skip every 13, and go to the end to get all the aces in the shuffled deck. So we'll start at the 12th on the ace, skip every 13 cards all the way through the end. So this will get the aces of all the suits. The notation start, stop, skip is only valid within the brackets when used in the indexing or subscript operator, and it produces a slice object, slice ABC, as we'll see in how slicing works on page 404 to evaluate the expression sequence start, stop, step. Python calls sec.getItem slice start stop step even if you are not implementing your own sequence types. Knowing about slice objects is useful because it lets you assign names to slices, just like spreadsheets allow naming of cell ranges. Suppose you need to parse flat file data like the invoice shown in example 2.3. Instead of filing your own code with hard-coded slices, you can rename them. Instead of filling your code with hard-coded slices, you can name them. See how readable this makes the for loop at the end of the example. So a line item from a flat file invoice. So we have just some string with row, 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 okay? Skew is a slice object 0, 6. Description slice 6 and 40. Oh, it's like taking a spacing slice. Oh, okay. For item in line items, print item unit price, item description. Okay, so it's going to go row by row and get these chunks. So you can get slices of between these objects. Okay, interesting. We'll come back to slice objects when we discuss creating our own collections in vector take number 2, a sliceable sequence on page 403. Meanwhile, from a user perspective, slicing includes additional features such as multi-dimensional slices and ellipses notation. Read on. Okay. Edgar was the guy who created algo find the shortest path. You learn about that when you learn about graph traversals while doing Leet code. Interesting. Hey, algorithms, welcome back. I hope it's going well. I'd have a suggestion of adding voice chat channels in the Discord. There is a voice chat channel in the Discord. It might just be a little bit hidden there, but let me show you. Ooh. It's right here, community chat. There's a community chat right there. My Roomba is stuck. Let me go fix it. Robots are taking over. um. All right. No worries. It's in there. Sometimes I pop in there and just we'll chill in there, like on the at late at night and see if anyone will join, but no one ever really does. Okay. All right. Let's finish. We'll finish page 50. Right. We'll get done. That's a good place to get to. Multi-dimensional slicing ellipses. Right. Multi-dimensional slicing and ellipsis. Okay, the bracket operator can also take multiple indexes or slices separated by commas. The bracket operator can take the list operator can take multiple indexes or slices separated by commas. The get item and set item special method that handle the bracket operator simply receive the indices in at I, j as a tuple. In other words, to evaluate a index I, comma j, Python calls get item I, j. This is used, for instance, in the external NumPy package where items of a two-dimensional numpy.nd array can be fetched using the syntax a index I comma j, and a two-dimensional slice object with the expression like a m through n and k through l. Later in this chapter shows the use of this notation. Except for memory view, the built-in sequence types in Python are one-dimensional, so they support only one index or slice and not a tuple of them. Ellipses written with 3 full stops and not Unicode U plus 2026 is recognized as a token by Python parser. It's an alias to the ellipses object, the single instance of the ellipses class. As such, it can be passed as an argument to functions and as a part of a slice specification, as in f in tuple a comma ellipse dot 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 comma z, or a index I through ellipses. NumPy uses dot 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 as a shortcut when slicing arrays of many dimensions, for example. Anyone know what this means? The ellipses? NumPy uses as a shortcut when dot 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 as a shortcut when slicing arrays as of many dimensions. For example, if x is a 4-dimensional array, x index I dot 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 is a shortcut for x dot right. See NumPy quick start to learn more about this. At the time of this writing, I'm unaware of uses of ellipses or multi-dimensional indexes and slices in the Python standard library. If you spot one, let me know. These syntactic features exist to support user-defined types and extensions such as NumPy. Slices are not just useful to extract information from sequences, they can also be used to change immutable sequences in place, that is, without rebuilding them from scratch. Assigning to slices. Mutable sequences can be grafted, excised, and otherwise modified in place using slice notation. Um, Okay, mutable sequences can be grafted, excised, and otherwise modified in place using slice notation on the left-hand side of an assignment statement, or as the target of a delete statement. The next few examples give an idea of the power of this notation. L equals a list of range 10. When you print L, you get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A list slice 2 to 5 equals 20 to 30. You can override the list items index 2 through 5 to equal 20 and 30. Oh. You delete items L 5 through 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is a 6. But this took out items 6, 6 and 7. Yep. Okay. Okay. Then you go list item 3 slice or skip of 2. So this will go from 0, 1, 2, 3 to 30, skip of 2, the 30 and the 8 will be 11 and 22. Boom. And then 2 to 5, so here, 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 2, 3, and 4 equal 100. Line 1 module only can assign an iterable. So then you can put a list. Okay. When the target of assignment is a slice, the right-hand side must be an iterable object, even if it just has one item. Every coder knows that concatenation is a common operation with sequences. Introductory Python tutorials explain the use of plus and multiplication for that purpose, but there are some subtle details on how they work, which we'll cover next. All right, we'll go ahead and pause there on the reading. Okay, let's go ahead and shift gears here. Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. Bum bum bum. Okay, let's do our easies. Should we do this one again? I failed at this one last time bad, I think. Right? Should we try this one again? I don't even know how to do the three-sum, Tim. You're killing me. Killing me, man. This one, let's just try this one while it's here. Okay, you're given the heads of two sorted linked lists, list 1 and list 2. Merge the two lists into one sorted list. The list should be made by splicing together the nodes of the first two lists, returning the head of the merged lists. By splicing together the nodes of the first two lists, return the head of the merged linked list. I don't think we did solve this one yet. I think I got stuck on it. Okay, well, let's see here. Let's give it a shot then. How about, yeah? So we have class list node with initialization. Obviously, it takes in self. The node has a value of 0 by default. And the next value of none by default. Okay. So we're given list 1 and list 2, which are node heads. So they are just two nodes, basically, that have some value and a next object. Well, I think this is where I got confused, right? Because why do we have a list here as list 1 and list 2? Is list 1 and list 2, are these lists or are these nodes? Or is it a list of list nodes? I think that's why I was getting confused last time. I'm not really sure what these pass-ins are. Anybody would care to explain? I don't know what optional list node. So if we're given an example of Hey Anton, welcome back on Twitch. Appreciate you for coming back, dude. They're linked lists, so a bunch of nodes linked together into a list. But when I access list 1 object and list 2 when I access list 1 variable and list 2 variable, what actually is it? Does list 1 have a dot next, or does list 1 have an index of a value? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, is list 1 like, right? No, I can only do self, but looks like it has dot val and dot next. Yeah. Okay. So if we're given a list, again, I don't know what is. Both list 1 are sorted in non-decreasing order. Okay, so they are list of nodes. Okay. For node in list 1, and is you just go, you have to obviously say for node, or let's say length of list 1 plus list 2. This is going to be the max length, right? If we say that's the max length of our iteration, so that's how many basically counts will have to go, or loops, to set this linked list. Well, I guess that's not necessarily true, because once you run out of space in one node, you just have to, you only have to do the shortest one, right? Because they're sorted. So once you run out of space in one list or one out of nodes, you just append the rest of the list back onto that one, onto your, or the one that has remaining onto it, right? So let's then determine the max, the shortest one, right? So um, shortest is equal to the length of, um, I don't want the max. Can I take the min? Is that a function? Yeah, it is. Of list one, right? And then the length of list two. So that's basically gonna be our n in our loop. So we say for I in the range of shortest, right? For I in the range of the shortest, we'll make this a little bit more descriptive, shortest list, right? Because once you run out, oh, well, I want to know, I mean, we could say while nodes, while node in, so what about, I'm thinking of a lot of different approaches here. What about like while list one or list two, right? Because that will stop this loop when we run out. No, this will keep going while if you have nodes in any of them. If we say and here, this will stop when a node is when you run out of one. So I don't. This is kind of pointless, right? Yeah, Tim, I don't get that part. What is this given two head nodes, but we're given lists? I don't get it. So what if we say while list one and list two, um, um, we'll say we need to count, right, to keep, or an index, basically, right? So, and then we'll need a new list node. No, how do you do? I don't get this thing. You are given only the head node of a list, so I think you can't use length. Okay. So while list, then we'll say this, if these are head nodes. So while list one next and list two dot next, mm, while list one next, do we want to stop on one right when we on the last node and break, or stop break when we come in, move forward? Awesome, we got a lot of people trying it here. So while list one dot next and list two dot next, we need a new. Do we need a new linked list, or output is this? So we got to return the head node. So head is equal to none. If I equals to 0, right? So we'll first say if list one dot val if list one dot value is greater than list two dot value, oh boy. Hey Chili Millie, welcome back in. So if we let's look at our example. So we have the 1 and the 1. Well, these are equal, so it doesn't really matter. So we would need to insert this. We would need to save okay, so then we'll have to say while list 1 and list 2, if the value of the left one, or the list of the red list, is greater than the value of the purple list, then we're going to, meaning that we need the value of the purple list. So right off the bat, if I is equal to 0, we need to capture that head node. So head is equal to list 1, right? Right, so if we're on the first iteration of this while loop, we're going to save the head here so we can call back to it later. So if this one is greater though, then we need, so let's, the red one is greater, then we need to save the next node as list one next node. So we have to save list one dot next into let's just say temp, I guess, right? We need to save the list node next value, the 2, because this linked list, because this value is going to go there. No, let's just remove them, but we have to be able to pass in the next nodes though, right? Because if we remove them, right? So if this node is greater than this node, then, and we're on our first run, we need the head value. Or I guess, can we just make a list, right, of like total is a list. So let's not do that. And then we can just return the index 0 of that list, probably, for the head node. So if I equals 0, we don't need that either. I don't think we need that. So then if we say if the left node that we're on is greater than the right node, then we're going to say left node dot append onto total to b list 1 to b list 2 equals list 2 dot next, and then we say, or do we even need to do that, because will it just append, right? What can we go total dot append list 1, and I need to return, what do I need to return? Return the head of the merge linked list. And then do total dot append list 2. If it's greater than or equal to, you'll just do that one. Else, right, total dot append list 2 list 1, and then call list 1 dot next is equal to list 1, and list 2 is equal to list 2 dot next, and then we continue from there. So the thing is, though, is once one becomes none, we need to break. So let's say we have a shortened amount. So if list 1 is none, if at this point list 1 is none, if list 2 and not, so we have to say if list 1 and not list 2, total I feel like I'm getting too crazy here. So if I look at the value and it's greater, I'll append the first one and then append the second one. Else I'll do the inverse if it's, the 2 is bigger. So the thing is, though, is so how can I say if list 1 is none, if Well, uh, see, this is where this easy problem tricks me in the butt. 'Cause I feel like it's trying to get me somewhere, and I don't know where. So, if list 1 is none, then if it's greater than the none value, well, can you do a evaluation of a value and a value is 0? Okay, hold on. So if value is default 0. So it always will have a value. So we say if list 1 well if list 1 is none, right, it won't have a value. And so this yeah, make Hey Darren. Do more Leet code than you? Probably not. I don't do too much. I kind of avoid it. I like doing the projects more. Uh, so we call next. But what happens if these are none? I don't want to use a nest because I don't want to have one exhaust. Hmm. I am not. I'm just wearing my normal ones. I don't need them actually for being up close to the monitor. Well, if they're none, so you have both of them. Okay. Yes, because this will exit if either of these become none, right? So then if one of them still has values, then we need to loop through, keep going and add the rest of them, basically, right? Okay, so then what we'll do is if list 1 and not list 2, then what we'll do is go total index -1 dot next is equal to list 1. Elif list 2 and not list 1 total index -1 dot next is equal to list 2. And then that will, and then what we can do is return total index 0 here. Right? So what I'm doing here is I'm starting off on this node here, the red node. Think of the left node, the red node is my list 1. The purple node is my list 2 node, right? So if the list 1 value, so while we have this loop will only run while both of them have substance. Well, both of them, right? Um, while both of them are able to have values, it'll run. So if the value, the red one is greater than the purple one, or they're equal, we're just going to do the left one or the red one and then the purple one. Okay, so in this case, it did the inverse, which is fine. It doesn't matter. In that case, it's okay. But if because if they're equal, it doesn't matter which order they go in. Well, because it compares those two. It'll put those two. Then it compares that one and that one, whichever one's less. But wait, what happens if, like, let's say that this is like 1, 1, and this is like 7, 3, 7, and then that's 4, and then 3. Well, because then what happens if it's like you have a big gap? No, in non-decreasing order, in increasing order. So what if it's like 1, 7? Well, then you would go 1, 1, 3. Then the 7 would go. Then what if this was like 9, and then this was 4? Well, I would have 1, 1, 3, 7, 4, 9. So this would not work. um. So this doesn't work, right? We can't do it one step at a time unless these. This goes 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. Because like, what if you had a 7 and a 9 here? What if this is 1, 7, 9? Right? Think about it like that. It would go 1, 1, 3, 7, 4, 9. So we need to move 1, 4. Okay, I got it. Okay. So we don't want to do this. We want to move. We need to append the lesser value. It's like we're chaining one or the other. We're not moving them both forward. Okay, so if so while list 1 and list 2 if list 1 dot next dot value is greater than list 2 dot value, then we want to go total dot append list 1, right? And then we need to move list 1 dot next is becomes list 1, because we don't want to move 2 forward until we resolve this number. So in the case of 1, 7, and 9, the 1 and the 1 will evaluate to both. Okay, so boom. Then the 2 will go, oh, the 7 will come up, right? We'll move that forward. Then we'll evaluate the 7 and the 1. Oh, the 1 will go, boom. Now we'll evaluate the 7 and the 3. Okay, the 3 will go, boom. Now we'll evaluate the 7 and the 4. The 4 will go, boom, the 7, 9, boom. If the value elif, I mean, we could say greater than or equal, I guess, to handle it in this one. So if they're equal, you'll just move forward the list 1 always. Else, they're going to be the other way around. So total dot append list 2, and then list 2 equals list 2 dot next. And then we'll just need to have that one edge case, right? So say if list 1 and not list 2, meaning that well, actually we can say this. If list 1 dot value is greater than this, or list 2 is none, and then make this an or statement. So while list 1 or list 2, if list 1 dot value is greater than or equal to list 2's value, or list 2 is none, then we'll add the list 1 value, keep increasing it, and then this will just keep getting hit here and here and here again for list 1 over and over. Else, elif, or can we just catch this with an else? So if it's less than let me try it. None object type has no value attribute. Okay, so then we'll need to do what Mahan always says. If list 2 is none, or here first. I always forget what Mahan always says it is, but we have to do that then up front. None type object has no attribute value. If list 2 is none, none type object has no attribute value. If list 2 is none, or oh, let me get caught up on the chat here. Oh, but it's wanting the head at the end, so we're not even doing that. Return total index 0. So if total, else an empty list. So why won't this none type object and attribute value? So I thought I was doing this check first. If list 2 becomes none, Well, then just write, you don't even need to do this other check. Wouldn't it be if list1.value is less than or equal to? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Less than or equal to, you'll append, because you want the lesser value, not the greater. It's in decreasing order, or increasing order. Non-decreasing, right? So if it's less than or equal to, if list2 is none, so then we'll just say this: if list2 is none, if that, no, if list2 is none, then we just want to do this. Right? Or this case. Do I need to wrap this? Because I want it'll hit here, I thought. I think I'm, yeah, none type object, not true value. So why is it evaluating the value? Oh well, what if it's, well, this wouldn't, this wouldn't enter the while loop. This would only, this will enter if either or is none, right? So only one of them has to not be none to enter the while loop. So if the list2 happens to be none, then we'll just append list1 and call next to list1. And then I guess we'll just say elif, and then we'll continue the loop here. Elif list2, or elif list1.value is less than, then we'll do the same thing and continue. I thought I could wrap that in that statement, but else we'll go do that. Let's try here. Still getting this error. So it must be evaluating list1. So I have values in, okay, so it must be the list1 then. So if list1 is none, if list2 is none and list1, then do that. Elif list1 is none and list2, you're going to do this. Right? Else, elif this, so elif this, else, So it'll append this one. So it'll append this two. So, and then, so we'll continue. And then, I don't know, I feel like I thought I could wrap these in some logic, but maybe not. So if list 2 is none and you have a value in list 1, then just append list 1 and move list 1 forward. Right? If list 1 is none and list 2 you have a value, then append list 2 and keep moving forward on list 2. If list 1 has a value and list 2 has a value, but the list 1 is less than, then you append list 1 and then go next, and then the inverse here. Oh, so it doesn't want this. Else none. Ooh, okay. Oh, well, so we didn't solve these ones. Dang it! Huh. So, shoot. I outputted just list 1 for some reason. So while you have a value for list 1 or list 2, if the list 2 is none and list 1, then you'll add the list 1 value to the total. So in the case where they're both present, see, it's not even giving me any of the values of list 2. Right? So while you have values in either, append. Let's go like this. Try. Let me see here. Oh, is that what it's doing? That might be what it's doing. It's a good thought, distracting, funny. If we're appending the list 1, is it appending the whole list? Or do we just want the value? So if we just append the value, and then return the index of the first value, what do we get? output is 1. That failed. Output 0. So why am I only getting a single value? Append the value. Append the value. Move 2 forward. Continue again. Okay. So in the case, let's look at these lists. 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4. While list 1 or list 2. Okay. Well, okay, so it'll never be 0. Will it be 0? List 2 can be 0. So I don't even, I'm not sure what do I, is it because I'm not actually moving list 1? So while list 1, oh, I'm returning total 0. So I'm returning that. But you want me to return the head of the linked list, which is total? I don't want to return the entire list. I just want to return the head of it, though, the singular node. Yeah. So now I have the list in the sorted order, but I need to capture the node somehow. So we'll have to say we have to figure out the first pass, right? So if I is equal to 0, at any point in this loop, right? So we have to just somehow save the head node, right? So at some point we need to, or no, at the first pass of this loop, we need to identify if I equals 0, then that's our head node. So head is equal to none. And we'll say return the head node here. Then we don't even need to create a list. Well, we're not, actually we're doing this wrong because we don't need a list because we want to set the next values as, so if list 1 Shoot. Uh-oh. So if list 2 is none and list 1, we have a value in list 1. We want to keep moving list 1 forward. We want to keep moving the list 1 forward. Keep moving the list 1 forward. And then, but if it's none, so if list 2 if list2 dot next is none, so if the next value is none, then and we have a value in list 1, then list2 dot next is equal to list 1. Continue. If list 1 dot next is none and we have a list 2 value, then we're not going to append anything. We're going to set the list 1 dot next equal to list 2 in this case and continue. So LF, we have both have nodes. If list 1 is less than list 2 value, then we're going to temp is equal to list 1 dot next list 2 is equal to list 1 dot next list 1 is equal to temp. Like so. Continue. Else, temp then becomes list 2 dot next. We save list 2 equal to, or list 1 equal to the list 2 dot next, and then resave for our loop continuation list 1 as temp. Oh, sorry, list 2 as temp. Because we want to start on the next 2 value. So that's where we have to say if we have an I equals 0 here, and say if you start with none and have a 1 in list 1, then if I is equal to 0 at this point in time, if I is equal to 0, then we're going to save the head variable as our list 1. So actually we'll first check here above this one, I think would be better if I is equal to 0, return list 1, right? If I is equal to 0, return list 1. Else do this, and then we got to increment I. I don't know, I feel like this isn't very good of a solution. Hey Nugs, welcome back in, dude. Welcome back. Right, so if I is equal to 0 on the first iteration, we need to return the list 1 because that's just, right, that, okay. And then we'll set the next value of 2 equal to list 1 because 2 was exhausted, and then so then elif list1.next is none, and list2, we're basically going to have a similar approach here. So say if I don't know, I feel like this is dumb. Probably is. List2 else that I plus equal 1. Right? Okay, in the case where we both have values and one is less than the other, well, we're going to save the next value of the lesser than one to temporary variable. We're going to set less2 as that lesser pointer. List2.next as that lesser, so that'll move so right, this makes 2 basically become its own list. No, sorry, 3 becomes its own list. 3, 4 becomes its own for a second into temp. The 2 gets added on. And then we oh my gosh. Hey Luis, how's it going, dude? Yeah, I'll take some advice and help like a little bit. I obviously don't want, solutions or anything like that. So, but just like as if I was prompting the GPT where I would say, don't show me code or whatnot. At the end of the day, um, I don't have a professor assigning me this assignment or this solution, so it really does me no good to get the answer from somebody else because A, there is no actually benefit to cheating in this scenario, just because it's completely independent. So I'm at the end of the day only just cheating myself and my own abilities to problem solve. Right. So let's try this over again. I feel like this is kind of dead in the water here. We have 2 linked lists. 1, 2, 4 and 1, 3, 4. I learned that linked lists are the enemy. 1, 2, 4. 1, 3, 4. Right? So we say, okay, while we have values in the linked lists, in both of them, while we have values in both of them, or do we want either of them? So, or, right, we'll start. Okay, do we have a value in list 1 or do we have a value in list 2? Yes, we do. Let's go ahead and start the loop. Okay, the node.value that we're on, if it is less than or equal to, this is going to be L1, L2. We're going to take L1, the 1, its next value, its pointer is 2, so temp will be saved for this value here. Right, so temp will now point to the 2, and we say that this now comes out front here, 1, 1. So now list 2 becomes 1, 1, 3, 4, and we have this list here. Hey Matt, Mactal. I've only been coding for about 7, 8 months now. So do we want to basically override the 2 list by placing the node as that pointer? Because now we're on the 2 and we're still on this 1 right here. We still are evaluating this 1. Or do I want to create a new linked list? So if I... Right, so this is the first iteration, is this one. Right, where you have list 1, list 2. 1 points to 2, 2 points to 4. We evaluate. These two are the same number. So we can just set that node set it out front. Right, set the pointer the list 1 pointer to list 2. Now we set list 1 list 2 dot next. So this will move forward. So we'll say go here and save that. So now we're on 2 and we're evaluating the 1 here. Nothing happens. The 2 is greater. So we set the list 2 pointer, no, the list 1 pointer at the 2 points to the 4. So in the next pass through, list 1 becomes um, 2. We save the pointer of 4 out here. Two. So this one points to there. Now list 2 becomes 1, 1, 2, 4, and list 1. No. Oh my gosh. Ah. Okay, let's try over here. We have 1 goes to 2, goes to 4. Okay, this is L1. Ooh. L2, 1 that points to 3, that points to 4. Okay. I'll use different color here. 1, 2, 4. Right. So that evaluates. So this list 1 after this pass through on the loop. List 1 will become 2 pointing to 4, and list 2 will be the 1 that points to 3, that points to 4, and it has the list 1 first value out front, like that. We then evaluate the 2 and the 1 here. Okay? So now list 1 will become so we're going to set the list 2 pointer to be list 1. Right? So we have 1 that points to 1 that points to now 2 that points to 4, and then you have a list 2 that houses a 3 and a 4. We're on the 2 and the 3 of list 1. So list 1 goes 1 to there to 2, that now becomes 3, that now points to 4 from the yellow. And then list 2 becomes just a green 4. And then that just gets put at the end. Right? One that points to 2, the 3 that points to the yellow 4 that points to the green 4 at the end. 2 here, like that. Right? Okay, so now to put this into code. Okay. We've been doing this problem for like an hour now. Jeez Louise. So while while list 1 or list 2, okay, while either of these have values, um, if list1 dot next is less than or equal to list2 dot next, right? Then we need to new list 1 head is equal to, no, sorry, not next, dot value, right? New list 1 head is equal to list 1 dot next. New list 2 head so then, sorry, then the list 1 we assigned the list 1 next already to equal this temporary variable. Right, so that's the 2 and the 4. So this is list 1, this is list 2 in this case. The purple is list 1. If list 1 is less than or equal to, which it is, we save the 3 and the 4 as a new list 1 head. So the 3 is now the new list 1 head, which is the list 1 dot next. And then we need to put this entire linked list as the next of list 1 equals to list 2, right? So we need to determine, though, if the next value is none. If it is none, we don't want to move it forward to stop this loop, basically. If it's none, we want to pause there and leave it there. So the new head, so 3 to 4 is our new, 3 is our new head of list 1. Our list 1 now consists of purple 1, red 1, 2, and 4. All right, so just move this out front there. And then we need to set if it's none. So what happens if it's exhausted? So let's remove the 4 here. Let's pretend it's not there. That goes there. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. That goes there. Touches to the 3. 4 is by itself, that goes there. So we set the next value to be list 2. Oh gosh. Linked lists are my struggle. So if list 1 value is less than or equal to the list 2 value, then that goes up there. The list 1 next, which is this 3, becomes the new list 1 head. And then the list 1 dot next, which is this current iteration, becomes list 2. Right? And then we need to save list 1 is equal to new list 1 head, right? Set it equal to if this value is none though, we don't want to move it forward because then this loop will stop. We want to stay on the last value. And then go, so the 1 goes there, you know, we need the 1 and the 3. Okay, it's fine. I do the 1 and the 2. That evaluates to be, that moves there. Into separate while loops. Separate while loops. Like it nested or side by side in parallel? Well, it would have to be nested because I couldn't get them both values out at the same time. Shoot. That's why I didn't want to do this. This problem sucks. At least I suck. If this value is less, then we're setting the new list 1 dot next. We're saying list 1 dot next is now list 2. And then list 1 is equal to new list head. List 1 head. I had to return back the head node though, so appending the values into a new list isn't really the solution I'm looking for, I don't think. So I'm returning back a single value, a single list node. Oh boy. Well, should we move on and work on our project? See, I much rather would do that. um, So if the list 1 value is less than list2 value. I feel like I'm on the right track, but I don't know what to do about this none stuff. So what if this value is none? So let's say we have one value here and 3 here. That'll become there is none. So you don't need to do anything, I guess. So elif list2 dot value is less than or equal to list1. I guess it would be else, right? Then new list2 head is equal to list2 dot next list2 dot next is equal to list1, and then list2 becomes new list2 head, like so. I plus equals 0 plus equal 1. I plus equal 1. If I is equal to 1 equals 0, head is equal to in this head list2. Don't have to do the same thing. List1. It is equal to none out here. Head. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously you can do it that way, but that doesn't that require a lot of time? You're combining linked lists into a new array, which we already did that before. We already solved that part. And then yeah, I could turn things back into a list, say a for every value, iterate again and more times, creating a list node at every point and then returning the first value. Because you're iterating once and then twice over and again. So I was trying to do it in one swoop here. Hey Vansh, how's it going? And I don't really appreciate you spoiling the solution, man. Even though I was still trying to get on it, so that's really kind of messed up. For that, my friend, we're gonna get a timeout. um. Okay, so then return head. Count I was not associated with the value. Oh, there's no value here. Plus return head. Do we have to say continue? None type has no attribute value. So if it's none, right, that's the case we have to check for. Huh. I mean, I explicitly said so, and you kind of disregarded my ask, so that's why you got the timeout. So, no kind of ifs, ands, or buts about that one, friend. Vance, how's it going, dude? So, right, then it's going none here. So while list 1 or list 2, if this one value, so we'll need to have those checks then, I guess, in place. So if it's none, I don't want to move it forward. Right, so if this value is none, sorry, if this value is none, I want to leave list 1 where it's at on its last value. But then it won't append because it'll say if it's Let's think here. So I am trying to merge 2 sorted linked lists in place. I don't want to create a new array and sort off that. I am linking together lesser next values to the head of the list. Don't show me code, but don't show me code. Let's see here. When merging 2 sorted linked in place, you want to use a dummy node or a previous pointer to simplify linking. Start comparing the heads of both lists. Whichever node has a smaller value, like link it to the previous next. Advance the pointer in each list and continue until all one is exhausted. So I am having trouble now where one list becomes exhausted before the other. So I am checking for a dot value on a none object. That's a common issue. When one list becomes exhausted, you should stop comparing and just link the non-empty list to the merged list directly. But if it's none and the other list has more values that could exceed the val of the last right, or something like that. Good thinking, but you don't need to worry about values exceeding other values once a list is exhausted. The remaining values is already sorted. Since a list is already sorted, if one list becomes none, you can safely attach the other list as is. Okay, so I guess I was thinking about it wrong. So then, if if list 1 is none and list 2, so if list 1 is none and list 2, then list 2 dot net list 1. So it says, so if 1 becomes exhausted, so then when you say and here, because that will break in the case where 1 runs out, and then in the case of where 1 runs out, so that's it. Let's see. This is my current attempt. I am trying to also return the head of the new merged linked list. Return the head of the new merged linked list, all while doing this in O of n time on a single pass. So don't show me code, but how does my attempt look so far? Fart. The core logic and relinking nodes is solid. A few things to tighten up. Head assignment. You're handling head assignment well, but you can simplify by setting up a dummy node. Advancing the lists. You're correctly adjusting list 1 and list 2 after linking, but you need to maintain a consistent reference to the tail of the merge list so you can keep building it. Right now you're missing the final step where you attach the remaining nodes from the non-exhausted list onto the list. One. Hey, Charlie, how's it going, dude? Advancing the list. So you're clearly adjusting list 1 and list 2 after. Okay, let's go one step at a time. Instead of using I to track the first node, try using a dummy node and a current pointer. Create a dummy node before the loop starts. Set current to point to dummy node. In the loop, instead of updating head, just attach the smaller node. In the loop, instead of updating head, attach the smaller node to current.next and advance current. Instead of updating head here, create a dummy node before the loop starts. So it wants a dummy equals list node. Then you say set the current to point to the dummy. if the loop instead of updating head, attach the smaller node to the current node and advance current. What does the dummy node do? Placeholder at the start of the list, maybe using the head pointer. Easy. I can't have a dummy node. I must keep the size the original list. Fine. You need to directly modify the list now. First, figure out which list has a smaller starting value that becomes the head. Set the current pointer to track the last node in the merged list. From there, keep linking those together and advancing from current to the next list pointer. So if you exhaust one, if list one is none, we don't want to assign it. So we'll say this actually. If new list one head is none, then list one dot next is equal to list two. Well, we're doing that here already. Ah. So if the new list head, right, is none, so if this is exhausted, list one is now exhausted, then list one's next pointer will become whatever list two is. This is here is my current attempt. This is really close. There's a couple of direct handling of head. The head assignment is fine, but once it's set, you need to maintain a separate current pointer to track the last node in the merged list. Yeah, Alex, I think we're on the right track here. I'm trying to do it in place. Kid got mad at me earlier because I was not doing it his way. uh, in terms of looping twice over. In 2n. The head assignment is fine, but once it's set, you need to maintain a separate current pointer to track the last node in the merged list. What? Let's add the current pointer and adjust how you handle the next assignment. No, I just gave him a like a 2-minute timeout. Seemed to have made things worse. Let's add the current pointer and adjust how you handle the next assignment. I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean. I got 30 lines here. Right now you're modifying the .next pointer of list 1 and list 2 directly, which is good, but you need a separate pointer, current, to track where you are in the merged list. If new list 2 head is none, right, then list 2 dot next is equal to list 1, and we break. I don't know if that'll work either, probably not. Oh, doggy. Look at that. Yo, what? Okay. Here we go. So in the case of this, so list 2 of 0, 1, 0. So it's happening list. Okay, so what is going to show? It's not even entering this loop. Oh, that's why. So we'll say if not list 1 and list 2, return list 2, elif not list 2 and list 1, turn list 1. Oh, I'm scared to submit. I'm scared to submit, you guys. It's been a long time coming here. We got 3 passes, but I don't know. Let's see here. Okay, I got 3 checks to pass on this attempt. You're really close. A couple of tweaks. Don't show code. You're already checking for empty lists before entering the mirror, which is great. Make sure they handle these early so you don't end up tracking. I think I'm already doing it. See, I tried that. I tried to do the or right here, but then it was doing I would have to make some logic for catching the oh wait, so if this is none. Okay, so then what happens if I go here or Can you do that? Is there a custom instruction? Okay, so let's do the or and then say what else would we have to change? So that's not gonna happen. That won't check because it'll be none for one of them. So we'd have to put the condition here. Right, so if not list one and list two, well, how would you guys do it? No. 1, 2, 4, 5. So this entered into here, right? It entered into here. If the value, the 5 and the 1, so the 5 was greater than, so this did not happen, so it went to here. Okay, I was 0, so head is equal to list 2, so the 1. New list 2 head is next, so that which would be the 2 here. So if list 2 head, so if list 1 value is less than, which is not true, is more, so it'll be go to here. So head is equal to the 1, which is right. New list 2 head is going to be to list2.next, which is going to be the 2. If this is none, which is not, so it's not going to do anything, so list2.next, which is the pointer, is going to equal to so that's why it's inserting right here. So we need to set so that we're inserting the 5 here based on this statement here. Next value is none. We need to evaluate here, here, and here, and then do it. So, I don't get it though. We're at the 1 and the 5. So that evaluates to not true. So it runs this. Head equals list 2. So the 1. Perfect. So that becomes our new list 2 head, which is 2. Okay, so here then it's breaking because Hmm. Shoot. Okay, so let's go back to the board here and say, you're already checking your entry list before. Tracking the merge list. You need to ensure that you. So I say, I failed this. I failed these checks. You got your hand the first node in each list. When your list is a smaller starting value, you need to carefully update the head. But may not. The first merge. Similarly, when one list becomes exhausted, you're trying to attach the remaining list before that you do this after adjusting. Dang it. While this one is not empty, take the smaller value. Okay, while they're not value. So if list 1 and list 2, then we'll do the comparisons. Right? So if list 1 and 2, else one or the other. So now in the case where you have either or, in the case where the 5 is greater than the 1, so then this has to go back one more like that. So if the last value is less than list 2 value, head, new list, head. So then what happens if you don't have, you have one or the other? We could remove this, right? Because that will say that so we have so like this. Yeah, if one is empty, just take from the other one. If list.1 is none, Well, the thing is I need to. If one runs out and the other has value still. I don't know. Like, I can't really think of it, picture it. Let's say, here is my attempt. Where do you know? Attaching those, you're setting list1.next equals list2, but instead of just linking the current nodes, you need to link the smaller value node to current.next. So we're all stuck on problems. So list one and list two. If list one So let's get rid of this. Let's do its approach of the dummy. Because actually then I can return dummy.next here, right? So then what if it wants us to say current is equal to dummy. So while list 1 and 2, if list value less than or equal to list 2 dot value, then we're going to get rid of this, move this back, get rid of this, move this back, forward, like so. Okay, so if while list 1 and list 2, if list 1 dot value is less than list 2 dot value, then we have our current node is our dummy. So our current node needs to point to current dot next needs to point to list 1. Oh, but I'm declaring these variables wrong. That's why. I need to say that the current's next value is equal to the list 1 value. Right. And then we need to say that list 1 is going to be equal to list 1 dot next. Right? And we can remove this. I'm printing out the values that you're... Yeah. So in the case where that's not true, else current dot next is equal to list 2, and list 2 equals to list 2 dot next. right? And then we need to adjust at the end, no matter what, current equals current dot next as such. So now we have to handle, also printing out the values, the cases where, so let's try, what does that do? Okay, so we're just missing the last value. So if list one, if we have values in list one, we're going to go next is equal to oh else list two. Okay, so we pass there. So we have a dummy node and a current, and we set that equal to current. That's our current place, right? So while we have values in list one and two, if if list left pointer is greater than the right pointer, if the left list is greater than the right list, then we set the current next is equal to the left list, and then we set left list is equal to the next list at one. And so then whatever we run out of first, we'll set here if list one, set them both completely, and that'll just set the rest of the values. So we needed that current dummy placeholder, like the almighty orb suggested. I think that this will work. Should we try it? Boom. Dang. Look at that. Pretty good on runtime. I wonder what the other guy's runtime was. Right, so we created a dummy node as our starting place. And then we loop through, moving one forward or the other if we have a lesser value, and then we add all the ones at the very end, link them together. So what that other guy did, the guy that got mad at me, I don't know why people get mad at me over coding on stream. It's just like for fun. Like for real. I'm just sitting here in my room. Like, it's I think people are just competitive, especially with like the leak code stuff. I think people have some underlying competitiveness just because the job market has forced you to know this stuff. And so I'm not doing this for the job market. So people kind of, I don't know, I feel like there's that competitive edge that brings people out with leak code. What do you guys think? So what the other guy did and suggested and against my wishes was to create lists. I think he was mad because I timed him out. I timed him out because I specifically asked him not to spoil things, and he disregarded my wishes. And this is my channel, so bang. you got you got yourself a 2 minute timeout. But if he's not mature enough to realize that it was for a reason, then I don't know. So he said make two while loops and sort them into a new array and then make a new head. Oh, okay. So you have array is equal to this. You say while list 1, you go list 1 dot value array dot append. This one's so much easier. You append and then you go list 1 dot next equals to list 1. Oh no. 1 dot next. And then you say while list 2. You do the same thing for list 2. Append the value of list 2 and then set the value of list 2, update it to the next value. And then you say, what do you call sort on the array? Well, I wasn't listening to him because I didn't really like his approach in terms of what he was suggesting. Like I wanted to do it in one single end pass. I didn't want to have to, and I wanted to maintain the current. I knew that there was. I just knew that there was a way to do it deep in my bones. Um, like to basically layer together the lists in chunks, right, and just move one or the other forward and then move that slice in basically, and then do it in the same memory chunk, which is what we were able to do. Basically, we beat a lot of people memory here. I mean, I totally agreed with his solution and how to do it, but I was deep in like my current approach, and we were almost there. He just didn't like that I was grinding over an hour on it. I just get hyper fixated on stuff. It's kind of like my personality. So, do we sort the array here? Do we go array dot sort? And then do we say for um, for val in array, we go list node val yeah, so really like he was kind of, I want to say gloating, but he was kind of like braggadocious about how many he's solved. And isn't the whole point of these leak code problems for those interviews? So if you were going to be asked in the interview to give the optimal solution for doing it in place using the current head node or the current memory space, then I mean, I just don't know why I got mad. I feel bad. I don't know. So for value in the array, we're going to create a list node of that value. Will that create it in place in the array? Create a dummy node to rebuild the sorted list. Oh, okay. So you do need the dummy node then. So you create a list node. Then you say for value in array, create a list node equals list node, right? And then node dot value equals to value, node dot next. Yeah, that's what my initial goal was to do. I knew that there was a way to do it, and like the way we did it to do it in linear time, and I wanted to accomplish that one. So okay, now what do we do? Praxis for this other solution. So we say, so you do the current as well, right? And then say for value in array, or can we say while for value in array node, we create a node, set the value, current dot next is equal to node, and then set current equal to node. So you create the node, you set the node's value, you say that the current dot next is equal to the node, so you make the pointer to this node, and then you update that you're on now this node, and then it'll go to the next value. And then you, at the end of this, no? Then you return dummy.next. Headphones be dying. Take them out here. Right? So we create a dummy node. Current next should be equal to list node value. Current next should be equal to list node value. Why would it be equal to the value? I want it to be equal to the node, not the value of the node. Hold on, let's see. Okay. Perfect. So that one ran really fast too. So these are my two solutions. Right? So you can do it in linear time while and then just adding. So going until one list is exhausted, and then just adding on to the pointer of the exhausted list all the remaining values. Um, of the unexhausted. I'm sorry. And then in this one, you loop in parallel, right, in 2n, 2 times n, to extract all the values, and then sort them. So you do one more linear time. So this would be 3n, and then you do 4n here for a recreation. So this would be 4n. What do you guys think? What would you say the time complexity is for this function? Is it 4n? One loop through n here, one through here, one to do the sort. Well, if you think actually, if you think of n as the entire linked list, this would be 1n because you're doing like concatenation on. So think of, you're doing the same amount of time as the loop over the entire, 2 times one of these sublists, but or these concatenated, but you're just doing them in parallel separately. So technically this would be n. This would be another n for 2n, and then you would do a third n in this value sort here. So 3n. No? 3 times n for the time complexity of this one. If you think of n as all of the items in both linked lists. Okay, I'm going to take this and say I came up with another solution. Oh, sort is n log n? Okay, I forgot about that. So it would be 3n log n. I came up with another solution that is a little slower, and I want some clarity on its time complexity. In the solution you provided, you're iterating through both linked lists and appending their values into an array and then sorting the values and converting them back into a linked list. Let's break it down. O of n times m, so O of m plus n. Overall time complexity, O of n plus m log n plus m. So I was thinking of like n plus m as the overarching like n value, but it's technically because it's two separate arrays, so they're distinguished by two variables. So n plus m, or the overarching n, all the data, times log n plus m, because you're sorting on log n plus m on all of the data. So we were right in the terms of it's all of the amount of, so n plus m, or all of n, all of the data in both linked lists, times the log of, right, that you said, Alex, for sort. Cool, so these are my two solutions for this one. I think what's his bucket, Owen, that got mad, he put his solution in here somewhere. Where are my submissions? Here are my submissions. Sweet. That was this Leet code problem. Thank you guys so much for helping me with that one. Yeah, exactly. It was fun. That was fun. It's just we take our time with it, really try to understand what we're doing and work through it. It's already 10 o'clock. Oh my gosh, dude. You guys, I literally just felt like I just started stream. Like, no lie. Swear on my life. Like, it feels like I just started stream like 30, 45 minutes ago. And just not feel like I've been sitting in this chair for 2 hours and 45 minutes already. Like, this is what's really frustrating, is because it's the pains of doing everyday studies, is that after work I take my dog on a little walk, I sit down, and I'm having fun. So like 3 hours goes by just like that, and then next thing you know, it's 10:30, 11 o'clock, and then I'm like, oh well, I need at least like an hour and a half to just detox the day and just chill and watch some of The Crown and just hang out by myself and pet my dog. And then next thing you know, it's 1 in the morning, and I'm going to bed and I'm repeating my day. Like it's really starting to it's kind of starting to hit me. Yeah, Alex, exact. It's starting to hit me, man. Um I was like, if you're asking me and not these other night owls over here, 1 a.m., 12 in Texas, like, it's starting to hit me where, like, I've gotten into the routine, so I've kept it up, but, I am, dude, the mornings, I am a bear to get up. It's hard to get up in the morning. I contemplate calling out of work like all the time. Like, oh, today's the day, calling out. It's like, no, I gotta go in. So for those that are new here, my name is Michael. Thanks so much for joining me here. We just solved the Leet Code problem 21, merged two sorted lists. We were stuck on this one for a few sessions. We tried it one other session and weren't able to complete it. I was able to finally complete my attempt here. Pardon me. Because I really wanted to solve it in a single linear time complexity, and by recreating the list as I went down step by step, iteration by iteration, and we were successful in doing that. And then you guys also showed me with we'll give Owen a shout out here. We'll give Owen his cookies. He got mad at us because we weren't doing his solution quick enough. So sorry to you, Owen, but we ended up getting it. Dude, Prax, that's crazy. 3 hours of online school? Are you in high school or college still? I work on my startup after work. I try to do 3 to 4 hours a day. I feel like I'm always exhausted. Alex, what kind of startup are you doing, man? That's awesome. I'm glad I could help you stay focused. What kind of work are you doing, Alex? Hey, Wing Hong. How you doing, man? If you guys are here, leave a thumbs up on the stream. I really, really appreciate it. Let's go ahead and shift our focus. I'll show you guys the project for right now. Okay, so this is I had about 45 minutes at the end of my day at work to kind of focus and do a little bit of this. So I awesome, Alex. Worked at Amazon. Sweet, dude. Well, if any of you guys need referrals or resume lookovers, get Alex to check things out. Thanks for coming in here, Alex. So what I did was what I found out that will really help us in yesterday is I need to not mess with grid at all. I'm not dynamically resizing my window or allowing for resizing on the window. So why am I even messing with grid, like, and doing grid column configure and grid row configure? Yeah, I could use it to like specify stuff, but I found out that there's a much easier way of doing things just statically if you're coding in static window. So I using now the dot place space manager. So the dot place space manager allows me to specify exact coordinates within my window, and then relative to the window size also the um, the parameter or location basically. And so this is what I was able to come up with so far. So what I did was in app.py, right? I'm in my notebook, I'm packing my notebook onto the window. So just packing it and filling onto my window, onto my root app. And then I'm packing in an inventory tab, not packing in, I'm adding in an inventory tab into the notebook, right, via this class call. And then within this class, I have a matrix frame. Now this matrix frame is where I'm going to house the actual tree view widget, but I'm just creating a frame to help outline things, kind of like a div in HTML. right? So I have a matrix frame. I configured this to be 850 by 730. I really kind of went back and forth and tweaked with these, pixel parameters because my window size is 1200 by 800. So this is going to be about, roughly 2/3 of our window size starting at x equals 0, y equals 0, right? And then we have grid propagate false for this so that what that does is that if we have widgets inside of the frame doesn't auto shrink to the size of the widget. It stays at this width and height. So I'll show you guys that here. Boom. So as you can see, this left section here, if I go like here to my inventory and if I code out my matrix, right? So let me code out the matrix itself and then run this. See, this is what I had here. This is what I was able to get at work, which is really cool. So now instead of doing stuff with dynamically resizing, I'm not, using grid or whatnot. So I can just place these blocks into these various places and then go from there. So that's what's happening here. So then what I did is I just stuck the matrix inside of this large frame, right? So I will go ahead and uncomment that, right? So what I did was I just did my headings. I created the matrix. This show headings parameter, this will get rid of that phantom row or that phantom column, I'm sorry, that's in Tkinter, right? Tkinter allows for parent-child nesting in tree views. And so, and that ghost column or that phantom column is where the little symbol or that little, insignia would go for you to expand the row view to the child. But I'm not having that in this case, so I'm going to just hide the phantom column with show headings here. I learned that as well. So then what I do is I loop through the headings. I create a column for every heading. And what I did is I specify if the heading is ID or size, I make these a little bit smaller. I make them have a minimum width of 35 and I set the width on them to 40. Just because you don't need that large of a chunk or a square for the ID or the size. It's usually going to be a small number or a number or a just a regular or just an M or an L or an S for small, medium, large, whatnot, right? L if the heading is date purchased, cost, or status, we just increase it a little bit, right? So we made these ones a little bit bigger. And then else, right, this would just catch all the other ones, which by default would be the only remaining heading left, which is the description, which would need to be a little bit longer or bigger by default. And so what I did was I did grid this into the now I probably could have done a place on this as well, but I decided I did this grid on the matrix into the frame because a frame is a master widget, which means that you can have a new space manager within it. I can pack the frame onto something and then I can grid something onto the frame. But if I keep putting stuff onto that frame, I have to keep using grid, right? Because it's a master widget. That's something also I learned. So, and then I just gave the column and grid configuration or row column configuration a equal weight, and then I stickied this so that it would stretch out the entire span of the frame. And so what we get is really cool is now we get perfectly in here a really nice matrix with some nice spacing on our actual headings. So it's really, really cool. Woohoo! See, isn't that awesome? Yeah, I got my certification from a trade school and primarily use C++. I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on the basics, and I also took a data structures and algorithms course on Udemy. Just finished the DSA course last week, so I figured Leet code would be the next steps. Nice, dude. Thanks for coming in, Jesus, or Jesus. Appreciate you for being here. Yeah, we've been reading on and off the data structures and algorithms in Python book. We are slacking though in our reading. We've been really, slowing down. We were moving pretty good, doing about 10, 15 pages a day, and then we started just skipping, and as stuff got more and more dense. So we're on page 422 learning about hash tables and maps, and there's just so much going on in this chapter. It's really, really dense. I'm working on a web dev course in Udemy. It's super fun. I built my personal website from knowledge I've learned, but I don't know any real world projects to put on it. That's cool, dude. Yeah, that's what I'm kind of doing right now. I think what I'll try to do is I will put together this in here, and then if we want, we can maybe expand it out to a web app or something with Flask and using. It would be pretty easy, I think. We just have to do HTML and Flask rather than using this, and it would be way, I think, easier. Than having to learn all of Tkinter. But I wanted to get some experience with throwing together quick desktop GUIs for just practical small programs and stuff. So now what we can do, guys, is we can focus on right here in this section on the right is going to be the add item section. The top right is going to be the add item box, and then the bottom is going to be the search. So you'll be able to search for an item and then edit its various parameters, and that will auto-populate onto the matrix, which will be cool, I think. So let's go ahead and try to really quickly here, maybe for the next half hour or so, I'll do maybe about one more half hour of streaming. Let's try to add in some entry boxes onto this frame here. So this is going to be, if we go to our inventory tab, we have the add item frame here, right? So what we can do is we have the matrix here. So I'm going to go here and make a note, say this is the matrix. And then we'll say here is the add item. So we're going to need to create basically our item. Let's go to our class, item class, drag this over. So our item houses quite a bit of information here. So to add an item though, right? You need this information. You don't. This isn't a transactions menu. This is an add item menu. So you'd only need 5 entry boxes, right? So let's make those. Okay, so let's say item number entry is equal to ttk dot entry, and then we're going to stick this onto the add item frame, and then give this a okay. Let me look up entry ttk dot entry configure params. Width, font, state, justify, text variable, show, validate command, your project looks good. I have seen my manager use something similar to track inventory at Taco Bell. Definitely something that you can put on your resume, man. Nice. I'd hire him immediately if it was up to me. Most people have no passion for. Thanks, Alex. I really, really appreciate those kind words. You're really sweet, dude. Thanks. Yeah, I really am just trying to convey, like, honestly, like a true passion for this. You know, now I have a theory. Now I think that I really do, honestly. I think that there is a recent, disconnect, and I get a lot of comments coming from people of, how do you stay so consistent? How do you focus? How do you stay focused on these stuff and have that drive? A, yes, I have just that passion for it. B, I kind of have that OCD where I just get fixated on stuff. But also, I think a big factor of is that C is that I don't have social media. Now, I say that because um, I am not constantly absorbing short form content, and that has allowed me to be able to improve in long form study. Now, it might think I'm crazy or might think it's weird, but I really do think there will be some sort of scientific evidence that'll come out about this in some studies where people's ability to absorb long form content in the form of lectures, deeper learning is going to be heavily impacted by their retention and attention spans. Um, and um, I think that by me not having social media and not constantly, I do watch some shorts on YouTube and stuff, but by me not, being absorbed in like TikTok and Instagram, I haven't kind of affected that wiring in my brain, which is kind of interesting to think about if it isn't even is a true phenomena, right? Or something like that. So then let's go um, item number entry dot pack onto there, and let's see what that looks like. Perfect. So that adds that there. So I'm not going to do pack. I'm going to do grid on this though. Dot grid. I'm going to set row equals to 1. Column equals 0. Like so. Move this over here. Okay. So now if I start adding stuff, I'm going to add a label, right? Item number, or add item label equals ttk.label on the add item frame. And then we're going to do this as well here, but make this row 0, column 0 on the add item label. And then if we run that, cool. So now we get a label up above. Now I'm going to set this grid propagate on this item frame. So add item frame dot grid propagate false, right? And so what that will do is make our frame maintain its size. Perfect. So now we have a text box there. And then can I give text equals to quote add item? And so now if we run this, add item right up there. So now can we center this? How to center widgets inside a frame. You can set side to top and use anchor to fill options to center the widgets. Using grid, row 0, column 0, sticky. I don't want to fill the frame like I want a entry in each row. Place the entry widget in the desired row. Set the sticky parameter east-west. Use a grid column configure on the parent. So what was the pack on that? Sticky side top pad X pad Y anchor center. So let me try that. Let's do dot pack. Let's put anchor center, and then let's do that as well for this other one. But that didn't, so that didn't work for the grid propagate. Grid row column 0. So then we'll go, we'll configure the search item frame, or so this to add item frame dot row configure row 0. We're going to give it a weight of 1, and then we'll configure row 1, and then we'll also do this for row 2, 3, 4, and lastly 5. So this will be our label, and these are our entries. Right? So now if we run, okay, so now that gives us weight. So now if we add in 5 additional entries to 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we space these out like that. So item number entry, date purchased entry, right? This is going to be item description entry, item size entry, and then item cost entry, right? It feels terrible seeing here at Amazon people making 300, 400K and literally doing nothing useful. Wow. Does your passion come from anything else computer related, like building PCs and tweaking them? Coding is very, very fun to me too. Yeah, I built my first computer when I was 14. Um, I messed around with computers from a young age, not in terms of coding and but more of like a hardware stuff. I was swapping, graphics cards on and off, and messing around in CS:GO pretty much, and I was just playing video games mainly. But I wish I would have dove into the actual programming part way back then for sure. So we'll give this row 2, row 3, row 4, and row 5. Alice, did people start slacking or did they get the job off connections? But the thing is, this strategy works. In the end, your paycheck is the same if you work a lot or if you work the bare minimum to not get fired. Yeah, it's that's the corporate thing, right? Is unfortunately, what they say is the cream will rise to the top, right? And that is true sometimes, but sometimes 20% of the time it's not. And you could be doing a lot of hard work and just dumb luck someone that that doesn't do as much work as you gets the promotion above you or gets the raise or whatnot, and it's just corporate, and it sucks sometimes really bad. You guys have any experience with that? Cool. So now we have these here. Um, okay, so now how can we center these? Hmm. So I'll go like this. I want these centered inside the add item frame. Right now, they are all just stuck to the left. So do we need to do a column configure on column 0, right? Because they're all in the same column, give it a weight of 1. So this is all. There we go, perfect. Haha, here we go! This is awesome. We're really moving here now. This would have taken me like 3 hours yesterday. We got that done in like 10 minutes. Dude, no way. We're adding in features pretty quick here. Okay, so can I give my label a little bit less padding? And can we give these some individual, what are some ways I could add labels to the entry itself? There are several ways you can add entry widgets into here depending on the style. You can place a label next to entry widget to the left, and I'm using creator pack. Okay, so let's do that. Let's take a label. So we'll go, I probably could make a class here. I'm having to reuse a lot of stuff. So, should I just do it? Make a class? So we do item number entry label equals to ttk.label on add frame this here. So actually the item number gets auto generated. So we don't need this. Item number gets auto generated. You just need the date, description, size, and cost. So this would be item date, this would be date purchase entry label. And then this would be ttk dot label on the add item frame with text date purchased. And then let's add this. Oh, date label, add that guy there. On the second column, column 1, so then we need to give this column equal weight as well. So this is column 0 is going to be the entry labels, and this is going to be the entry boxes. So column 1 will have an equal weight. We'll make the boxes, yeah, that's fine. So date purchased as a row to column 0, column 1. So these are going to column 1s, column 1s, column 1. We're going to take this, copy, bring this down, add it there. Oh no, all of this. Copy. That's date purchased. There. Make this go here. Item description. Label. Entry label. Take that. There. Description. Row 3, column 0, like that. Now I'll take this guy, bring it down, there. Item size, entry, label. Row 4. This would be size. And we'll take these one last time. Here. Item cost, entry. Take that. There. Cost. Row 5. Okay, so now I think that'll work. Oh, dude, we are on this. We are on this. So now let's shrink this to just date. Rather, and then we'll shrink this to description like that. And so now we add that. Yo. Woo! Okay, so now we need to go here to this label needs to column span 2, right? Right, insane progress from yesterday. Hey, Arctic Max, how's it going? Thanks for joining me on Twitch and leaving a comment and a chat. Yeah, the few Twitch joiners that come on here. So I am streaming on Twitch, you guys also, as well as YouTube. So thanks for coming in here, dude. Appreciate it. We're working on my project right now, the Small Business Manager. We're making a UI. It's pretty cool. We've made a lot of progress from yesterday. Yesterday we were struggling for 4 hours trying to learn Tkinter, and now we're really moving quite rapidly, adding features and widgets here. I really kind of get I kind of get it now, hopefully. YouTube is just my name, Michael D. YouTube is Michael D. Deming, for my middle initial. My girlfriend says I should stream to TikTok as well, Prax. But I honestly I'm unsure. I don't have a TikTok. I'm a little bit apprehensive to download it because I don't want to get stuck scrolling all the day. But I also I'm not sure how I could capture the screen in vertical form. I think it would be kind of difficult. But my girlfriend says I should. She watches a few live streamers on TikTok, and they get like I think we were watching. Like, she will throw them on in the background while she cooks or something, and they got donations. The person that was there or that she was watching, they got like almost like $1,500 of individual donations in like 3 minutes. Like he was just like, "Yo, thanks for the 100, thanks for the 50, thanks for the 25, thanks for the 50, thanks." It was like 3 minutes straight. I was just like, this dude just made a guy's weekly 2 week paycheck in 5 minutes. It's just like, what is going on? Yes, I'm using OBS. I have there's a third party plugin for OBS by someone because it's open source for multi output. And that's what I'm using. Just the OBS, the GitHub repo. I downloaded it. There's a worry they might install malware onto your computer. What? TikTok got malware? Bro, can you shout out my anime I made using AI? I'm the only anime I've ever watched is I watched a little bit of One Punch Man. I've watched, which I didn't really like too much. I thought it was kind of boring. It was the same thing over and over again. Sorry. I watched Attack on Titan about 3 or 4 seasons worth with my cousin. That was pretty good. I kind of liked it. He was way into it. But then I guess the only Avatar or the only anime I've seen from start to finish is probably Avatar: The Last Airbender, if you would call that an anime. And then obviously the old Pokemons and stuff, and if those are animes too, I'm not sure. So we need to span the label for the add item label needs to span item label dot column. Oh no, so we'll have to, it's here. It's column span. One. No. Column span 2. So we have column 1 here. Wait, 1. Expand 2 columns. There we go. So why is there so much spacing? I guess it doesn't really matter. But we will need a submit, right? So we need to have a button down here called um, so this is going to be add item button equals to ttk dot button. We're going to add this to the add item frame. We're going to put this on add item button, and we're going to put this on dot grid row 6 column 0 column span 2, and then we're going to give this a text equals submit slash add item. Add item, like that. So now if we run this, now we have a button at the bottom, right in the middle. Perfect. So then can I give this frame, the add item frame, a padding of 25, basically to shrink everything inside. There we go. Now we have some padding on the inside here. Look at that, dude. Um, oh, YouTube blocks it. Wow. Yeah, like the roses, the galaxies and all that, but he had his Venmo he had his Venmo just like in his bio and people were just throwing him cash on there. I disabled the I had the super chats enabled for the stream um and everything because we were monetized now, woo, but we're making like pennies and we literally make like 10 cents a stream. But um I what was I saying? I had the super chats on the stream, but I decided to turn it off because um, I didn't want you guys to donate and then have half of your guys' funds be taken away in fees. I didn't think that that was fair to you guys and where you guys were wanting your money to go. You guys didn't agree to, um, you guys didn't agree by donating to donate to YouTube or to the fees at Apple Store, right? Because YouTube takes like a 30% fee, and then if you do it through the YouTube app, through the App Store, Apple also takes like a 30% fee. So after like a $15 donation, at the end of the day, I was only receiving, I think it was like less than 50% of that donation. And so over 50% of your um, donation was going towards a fee to YouTube or Apple, and I didn't think that was fair to you guys of your hard-earned money going towards some corporate fee and some it wasn't even going towards the creator or any creator for that matter of you supporting. So I turned it off. I personally ethically didn't find that to be just and fair to you guys as viewers spending your time, spending time with me and stuff if they were going to take those large of cuts out of your guys' money. So no way, not going to happen. Hold on. I don't have an Instagram, Max, so I can't really see anything. But shout out Max. He's got some cool anime photos here. He wanted me to show you guys. I don't have an Instagram, Max. I can't look at stuff. Sorry, man. But looks cool. Looks Our style looks really awesome. Do you paint that yourself in digital art? Yeah, isn't it crazy? It's like 30 and 30. So it was like damn near like 50 to 60%. It was just crazy. Um, so then let me go add item label. Let's go add item label dot configure. So what are some label text display font. So that's the text color background. Reliefs, that's the border style. Image, pad. How can I increase the font size? Text font Arial 20. Font Arial and then 20. Like that. Add item to inventory. And then do we want word wrap? Wrap length. What is wrap length? Amount of pixels. So wrap length will say 20. No, way too small. Wrap length 200. Add items not small enough. Or wrap length 150. Okay, so that wraps. And then justify is center. Anchor. Justify center. Center. There we go. Add item to inventory. So we'll make this just add item, I guess. I'll say inventory add item, like that. And I'll try to get the wrap at the right place. It's going to be difficult. I'm going to have to keep trial and erroring it. So a little bit smaller. Almost one character smaller, so 140. A little bit smaller. Go 120. A little bit bigger. 130. There we go. Inventory. Add item. How's that look? Hey, Lakshya. How's it going? Appreciate you for coming in. Thanks for joining me. Welcome, you guys. If you're new here, leave a thumbs up and follow along. I really appreciate you guys joining me. I code every single day, teach myself from scratch. I'm a chemist by trade. I have a degree in human biology and a minor in chemistry, and I work as a formulation chemist for the past over 3 years since I graduated college in 2021. And I am a mid-level scientist too. I make biological controls, and I'm making a GUI right now for this program. So I'm gonna remove this here like that, and just do it like this. Inventory add item, like that. Perfect. That looks good. That looks really good. That looks awesome. I can't get over it. We made this from scratch. Isn't that crazy? Okay, so then that's all you need to add the items. So we'll make those responsive, and then it'll populate into here. And the status is automatic. Yo, this is so sick. Oh, so cool. All right. So what happens if I'm going to make it larger. Let's make it 40. And that'll make the wrap 150. 180. Ooh, 200. Inventory. I don't think we're doing anything here. We might be meeting that padding. Okay, yeah, we're meeting the padding here. So I'll make this down to 38. And then we got to wrap 230. There we go. Perfect. That looks great. I know, Mahan, we're cooking right now, dude. You're being cooked. Sorry, dude. Feels bad. I'm really sorry about the whole, that what happened with that school and email thing. That really blows. I would try to reach out to your school. They're not going to really be able to do much, but I would try to reach out and, see if they even offer any like scholarship or something as like a replacement, like in terms of, and at least to help other people become aware. You don't want anybody else, falling victim to that. Awesome. This is sick. Let's make it 34. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller. It's pretty big. And then we'll lower the wrap to 210. There we go. Yo. So then let me make um I'll take this font and go over to like this. I'm gonna make the font on this guy 20. See what that label would be for the item size. So size, that makes it a little bit bigger. So we'll make it 18. Nah, I don't need it. We'll come over here and we'll make this pad 20. We'll lower the padding on the actual frame, so it gives us a little bit more room. Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool idea. I might request it if Bank couldn't do anything. I reached out to any organization they could, but it was cool. Yeah, it honestly doesn't hurt to exhaust all your resources. But because your school might be able to offer you maybe some sort of scholarship, it like as a victim of this crime or whatever, you know, they have a lot of different programs like that. But at the end, if nothing else, then you just want to at least make it so that they're letting other people know that this is going on, so no one it doesn't happen to anybody else, right? That's another important thing. Cool. All right, you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and call it here at 10:45. Today was March 19th, 2025. I had a really great time hanging out with you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me. We started off with some reading in Fluent Python, then we solved a Leet code problem, the merge two sorted linked lists problem. We did that one in linear time. We were able to do that one in our own solution, where we were able to detect the node value and insert that list as the next pointer and keep track of our current one run. It was a lot of practice. It was really cool. Will you add colors? Yeah, I think so. This is just, I haven't done any styling. So this is just the raw TTK layout. And then once we get it completely ready to go, then we can just go ahead and tweak styles, colors, fonts. But once we just get all the widgets placed and then their structure, then the style is just basically, you know, the fun part. But yeah, so tomorrow we'll work on this section here, the item search section, and then right, and that will come up. So what it'll be what it'll have is an item search, like a prompt up here, like a label, and then it'll have a drop down or some sort of drop down and or a checkbox and then an entry, and you can check the search parameter. Basically you can check, okay, I want to search via item number, and then you can search a number in there, and it'll cross reference those two widgets to make sure that you have an int checked if you're looking for number, or a if you're looking by name, you make sure that you typed in a stir. And then what it'll do is if it found it, it'll say found. And then my goal is that when you search an item and it says found, is that then it will highlight and automatically go to that line in the matrix, and then you can just double click on the line item and then edit in there in the tree view. So I know that the tree view has an option for you to select on the tree and edit the lines live, and then we could, identify it that way. Or what we could do is just set a search and it pulls up the item here, and then we set the individual properties or whatnot. But because if we drag this over, it auto adjusts. It's really cool. It's pretty nice. Like, it's pretty cool. All right, you guys. Yeah, definitely go for that scholarship opportunity if they have any. But leave a like on the stream for you guys. Thanks for stopping in today. It was a really, really successful stream. Feeling a lot better on Tkinter than I did yesterday on getting stuff onto the screen. I was really struggling to understand the space managers and understanding what they did. But now I'm really starting to wrap my head around it with some more time and practice on this. So thank you guys so much for being here. I'll see you guys tomorrow like usual. It's been a quick night. 3 hours and 45 minutes went just like that. So these streams fly by. So thank you.